Assess his body language. Oh, right. It's composure. Not conceptualization, it's composure. Assess his body language. What strikes you about this gaunt man is not the stomach pain, or the cough, or the malnutrition. For a man who spent 44 years hidden in the urban world, he's surprisingly okay. Indeed, he speaks fluidly, his movements are rapid, if erratic. His voice, despite the cough, is there. It is capable of expressing complicated ideas. Above all, he seems animated. Animated by what? It's a mystery. The animation comes at a cost, too. Erratic hand gestures. Thought processes cut off like threads, as he just stares at the logs or the reeds. He also suffers mood swings, bubbling to the surface, unconstrained by his nervous system. Dementia? You've seen demented people before. This feels similar, yet different. Even when his thoughts move, they are lucid, keen even, not senile. Mr. Dross, are you okay? How is your memory? He waves his hand, chasing something that's not there. No, I'm not okay. I shit blood and I'm surrounded by insane people. There it is again. Erratic hand motions, bouts of rage, and the stomach thing too, of course. Let's go about the people it doesn't like. Okay, so we've exhausted everything. Iosif Lilianovich Dross, you're under arrest for the murder of Ellis Courtnayer. What? The old man's eyes fill with sudden, unexpected terror at the words. But you said I would be taken to the... The wind picks up. The silence on the river is broken all around you. I'm really curious what would have happened if I was, like, a true max-statted Superman for this game. What would have changed? Oh well. The wind picks up. The silence on the water is broken all around you. Little shivers of waves appear. The lieutenant continues, like an incantation. Your Wayfarer rights have been suspended. The information provided to the officers on the scene will be used against you by the prosecution. You will be given legal counsel within 1 week, and you must face court in 44 days. Do you understand? Do you understand? But, do you understand, sir? No, I don't want to. I have to stay here. He looks at the reeds, eyes submerged in growing terror. He's sweating. Beads are forming on his forehead. Your confirmation is not required, sir. The lieutenant turns to you. Now, onto the boat. Wait. There it is again, to the north. As it has been since you came to the coast, the reeds whisper, stalks rubbing against each other, but then in the middle of it, what? Something completely different. It sounds like a bow, very slowly being drawn against the strings of a violin. A very small violin made of reeds and rushes. And then it's gone, drowned by the lieutenant's voice. Maybe there's room for 3 in the boat. Shh, Kim, do you hear that? What? What are you talking about? Is this? The old man's voice drowns in a sudden gust of wind. Really us. Really us. Your skin crawls. What? Oh. 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 Okay. We did find it. A delicate tangle of arms and legs unfold from the reeds, limb by limb, to just stand there, moving in scythe-like arms in ghostly silence. Blink. It's still there, an unfolding mechanism of reed-like chitin, hovering in place. What is that? The old man looks at the reeds, then you. What are you talking about? I don't know what the hell that is. He looks confused. There's nothing there. The stick insect is over 3 meters tall. It looks straight at you with the tiny pinprick eyes and its grotesquely small head. And your legs shaking under you, and your gun hand rise instinctively. I've finally gone insane. Put your head in your hands. You feel the lieutenant's hand on your back. You hear him say 4 words. I can see it. Thank God, if he can see, then you're not insane. But that means it's really there. Spinning slowly, and in absolute silence, its limbs long and slender. Be very, very careful, the lieutenant whispers, then takes a step towards the giant anthropod. Oh! Those points in hearing were worth it. The creature stands on long stilt-like legs, antenna hanging from its head like a woman's hair, white and curled at the tips. It's no more than 5 steps away from you. Reed-like tufts stick out of its joints as the insect moves its forearms as it produces a faint hiss, like a reel to a machine spinning up after a tape breaks. The hiss is different in the strings you heard before. It says something else in a lower pitch. Listen carefully. You smell. Say something to it quietly. Something like, you exist. A sudden chirp fills the air. The walking stick moves its whole body, limbs working independently of each other, like the parts of a masterfully constructed machine. Something in its body language has changed, just slightly. This is the Elysium Phasmid. The lieutenant whispers behind you. You hear the familiar ring of his jacket unzipping. Slowly, painstakingly so. Glance over your shoulder. The man holds a piece of milled aluminum. He begins to pull it open, extremely carefully. It's the camera. No, the flash will scare the creature off. Warn him now. Kim, the flash is loud. It won't like that.
We need a photo. No one will believe us.
He continues to pull the lens open. In the corner of your eye, you see a sudden cascade of motion ripple through the Phasmid's limbs. A series of ultrasonic clicks fills your ear. Stop, let me approach it first.
I won't be one of those fools who didn't take a picture.
He has stopped fiddling with the camera, but does not put it down. He's letting his pride get in the way. You see the Phasmid turn to him, its mandible antenna reaching out. The motions are quick, sudden. I have the pheromone, I can approach it.
I don't think the pheromone will do anything.
His whisper turns to a skeptical hiss, but he has stopped now. The spindly mechanism turns itself back to you, its antenna taking their measure of the air, slowly. Approach carefully. Slowly, with your breath held, you take 2 small steps towards the Phasmid. The creature lets out a series of ultrasonic clicks that swarm around your head like swallows. Hissing and clicking, it extends its mandible-like antenna to greet you. You're right below it now, looking up at the colossal chitin of its white limbs. The head of the creature is crowned by reeds, and its eyes are like small droplets of water. Raise your hand slowly. The insect stops its stridulation, seeming to observe you. Below its crown of reeds, little pinprick eyes detect motion, glittering. The world stands still around you. Suddenly there is silence. Raise the other hand, too. As you do, the invertebrate comes to life, its limbs moving independent of each other, as if each has a mind of its own. They are like white stalks of porcelain, knitting above you, praying to you. Don't pray to me. I'm nothing. The reed creature does not stop its stridulations. Stridulations? It towers above you, like parting the reeds it emerged from. Tuft-like structures still rustle on its joints. Hello, I'm Harry. I don't really know who I am. No reply. A total ancient silence comes from its mouth, along with what appears to be some kind of foam. The stridulations of its limbs continue all around you. Stand on your tiptoes and look more closely. You're right, little bubbles form on the mouthparts of the creature, on its segmented lower lip. Looks to be foaming slowly. The foam is white, then yellowish. The faintest smell. Like you've never felt before. Like burnt roses. Kim, it's foaming. Careful, it may be poisonous. The lieutenant watches over you apprehensively. The foam slowly turns a darker shade, like burnt caramel. The insect moves its mouthparts, masticating. Little bubbles begin to burst one by one, letting out the same smell, like summer burning. What are you doing? Tell me, what are you doing? I exist. I exist too. Tell me what it's like for you. If I tell you, what will happen? And I will tell you what it's like for me. For me, It's fire. Burning. Fire where? On the horizon, pale fire. This thing we're both sensing is coming to an end. That is your problem. Nothing ever ends for me. There's only room for 2, maybe 3 pictures in my mind. For me, it's a series of half-lit images, a kind of darkness being intruded upon, transient, dim, moist. So, what if the next picture doesn't come? This creature is not a photographer, just the camera. Intruded upon by what? Shapes of plants and animals, and internal sensations. A swarm of sounds, tiny vibrations on the inside of my forearms. I'll speak of complexities totally beyond my understanding. I am the end of a narrow funnel, weightless, so light that it only feels like something to me. In truth, perhaps I am nothing. I certainly do not have a soul, and if I did, it would never burn. I'm glad to be me, an incredibly sensitive instrument. Few of us can begin to imagine the horror of you, with all of creation reflected in your forebrain. It must be like the highest of hells, a kaleidoscope of fire and writhing glass, eternal damnation. Even when you're sleeping, and when you wake, you carry it around on your neck, with eyes open that cannot help but swallow more behind the mirror. I feel great mute empathy for you. It was very disorienting at first, but I'm keeping my shit together. That must be incredibly hard. The anthropods are in silent and meaningless awe of you. Know that we are watching. When you're tired, when the vision spins out of control, the insects will be looking on, rooting for you. And when you fall, we will come to raise you up, bud from you, banner-like, blossom from you, and carry you apart in a sky funeral, in honor of your passing. But not me, because I'm just a leaf eater. Detective. Arriving. On the scene. I am a detective. So am I. I was born to detect sucrose rewards and semiochemicals. What were you born to detect? The killer. He is in a bad state, deteriorating fast now. He thinks I'm beneficial to him, but I am not. I only quicken his deterioration. You're destroying him? Very slowly, and only because he won't go away. It's meant to keep them from noticing me, to interfere with the pictures in their head. He has looked at me too long, and I am destroying him. Where does this come from? All of this around us, the world. Not even the birds know that. Not even the water lilies. Then all we can do is beat our fists against it, day after day with no answer? You can also eat it, if it's a leaf you can put in your mouth. Yum yum. Or a reed. Wait, so you look like a reed and you eat reeds? Yes, they don't mind. Have you accidentally eaten another reed, Phasmid? Yes, I once cloned myself and ate the little ones. It was winter, and I woke up at the wrong time. It was an accident. What exactly are you? I'm an unknown species of the order Phantasmodia, endemic to the Enceladian Isola. For the last 350 years, I have hidden in plain sight, masquerading as the reeds, molding, cloning myself, unfolding at night to play with the trash bins and buoys. I went unnoticed by the first settlers and the land surveyors of the suzerain, also by the soldiers of the Revolution and the officials of the occupation, even the 70s islanders who came here first, but did not stay, have not seen me. I have stayed hidden through 4 forms of government and 2 scientific revolutions, until I was accidentally discovered by a detective of the Citizens Militia in Revachol, District of Martinez, March 51. Are you a miracle? No, you are the miracle. It was you, coming from the west. From the whirling, you were coming. How? The moral of our encounter is, I am a relatively median life form, while you are extreme, all-engulfing madness, a volatile simian nervous system, ominously new to the planet. The Pale, too, came with you. No one remembers it before you. The Snidarians do not. The radically symmetrics do not. There's almost unanimous agreement between the birds and the plants that you are going to destroy us all. Wait, the Pale is human-made? It is a nervous shadow cast into the world by you, eating away at reality. A great unnatural territory. Its advent coincides with the arrival of humankind. I don't have that kind of power. You are a violent and irreplaceable miracle. A vacuum of cosmos and stars burning in it. Oh. The vacuum of cosmos and the stars burning in it are afraid of you. Given enough time, you would wipe us all out and replace us with nothing, just by accident. How? We suspect it'll be something like the oxygen holocaust that wiped out anaerobic life 2.6 billion years ago, when organisms first started breathing. Only much worse. Instead of air, you exhale thoughts. There are no trees that eat thoughts. Worse how? Everything your eyes touch goes back there, behind the nerve mirror. What if you blink? Are we still here? Please don't blink. What if you misplace us all one day and just forget? Have I always thought this way? No, you're only thinking it now. This is a revelation. I will be extra careful not to blink. Stick insect, don't worry. Please be. Or one day, one of you will close your eyes and sigh, and open them to see that none of this ever existed. Kim, am I having a violent epileptic seizure? Doesn't look like that, no. What does it look like? You're just staring at it, he whispers. Then I think I'm having a vision about the final fate of mankind. Okay. After a second, the lieutenant asks, is it somehow related to the case? Sort of. Then I think we should take the picture, and you should back away from the unstudied species. That's all. I have to say goodbye now. I have no more thoughts. That was all. There's one more. Of all the creatures I have met, you are the kindest. Thank you. I also have one more thing to say to you before you go. That woman. Turn from the rune and go forward for all of mankind. I will. She was hell on earth. It doesn't make a 3-meter stick insect to tell you that. Okay, Kim, take the picture. Okay, with a slow ring of metal, the lieutenant slides the lens open and raises it to eye level. There's no change in the insect's motion while it's being aimed at by the camera. It remains fixated on you. In 3, the man whispers, his voice is tense. If it moves, you jump back. I'll shoot. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. The shrill flash of the camera cuts the air like a blade of the sword. The Phasmid freezes in its bright light, head turned towards the lieutenant, hypnotized by the flash. It stands frozen before you. I got it, you hear the lieutenant whispers, as the creature's shape develops into a photo paper in his hand. A polychrome ghost of white streaks against the reeds and the sky, and you, as a shadow before it, immortalized. Carefully pet its scythe-like forearm. The limb before you is incredibly light, like eggshell. It's much lighter than a reed. You feel a soft push could tip the creature over, its hollow exoskeleton collapsing. Warning, pull your hand away. A sudden shiver passes the limb. It looks like the creature's awakening, wave by wave from its stupor. Some sort of countdown process is happening. That's all you have time to think. Touch the creature's whisker. The antennae hang from a great height. With your hand shaking, you barely touch the tip of the left whisker. On contact, the chitin curls into a spiral, like a tip of a poison ivy. Its touch on your fingertip feels cold, ticklish. It's surprisingly delicate, the curly end of the whisker, like a young vine. It's even a bit wet. Careful, detective, it's moving. Look at your finger. You're right, it glistens with some kind of moisture. The creature in front of you stays frozen. Lick your finger! It tastes like sugar, very faint. The arthropod towers above you, tufts of reed pointing from its limb and head alike. Odorless, mostly comprised of water. We got it. Back off. Another shudder pulses through the creature's limbs. It jolts back to life, like a record continuing where it left off, in a swaying praying motion. Even the small black pearls of its eyes do not stray from you. Disengage slowly. As you're turning away, the Phasmid mirrors your movements, stepping into the water. The long limbs carry its feather weight without breaking its surface. Sucker moves fast. Just like that, it's gone, skating away across the sea's calm mirror like a skipping stone, leaving nothing but circles on the water. and something under it. In the place where it stood, bobbing there among the reeds, a collection of items. It's gone, the lieutenant looks north, with his hand raised to his brow. Walk on water? Apparently, yes. Like a water strider, only shakes his head with amazement. I've never seen anything like that in my life. What's that in the reeds? He squints. Looks like a nest of some sort. We should have a look. What now? What now? The old man behind you repeats suddenly. He puts his hand to his... puts his hand into the ash. It's dirty and black. Our suspect is not looking good. We need to check on him. Tremble, the time is now. What time? Time for the show. For hollowed time and fear and disintegration, a countdown has begun. All will collapse on itself. The world will disappear into a single grain of blackness. All sound will be muted. All life will scream. What's that? Wait, what? When did this countdown begin? Monday morning, the moment you arrived in this reality, or the first crack in the sheer face of God. From you, it will spread. This is because of the insane world ending I've been saying, isn't it? Yes, you spoke the words of and the houses of Perkinassus. Items, people, even words will tumble. All will lose its meaning in the coming years. That's why you marked yourself. I'm not sure it's a joke, or just some kind of coping mechanism. It's totally also a coping mechanism. I'm a little afraid. So you should be. The world island crumbles at your feet, and in the far plain... Perhaps just a thought. This has something to do with the hangover. Yeah, I'm gonna opt out of the whatever it is. This was a mistake. Okay, yes, maybe it is just the hangover talking, or some kind of joke you're playing on yourself instead of working the case. No matter what world I'm playing in, I don't want the world to end.
What do you want from me? I can't go.
Something's very wrong with him now. Sir, how could you not see the Phasmid? See, he stares at the reeds and falls silent. Mr. Dross? The man does not respond. He keeps staring, black eyes glazed over and bulging from their sockets, his gap-toothed mouth shaking. Touch his shoulder gently. The plastic cape feels coarse. A light shiver passes the man. Other than that, no reaction. He feels small and frail. He's going into some kind of psychomotor immobility. Lieutenant inspects him gently. The good news is, this solves our transportation problem. Doesn't it, Mr. Dross? The trembling mouth appears to sigh. Between this and the broken tire he's used for a boat, I think it's safe to leave him here. We go and get help. It will need to be medical first, I'm afraid. What's happened to the man? Old age and shock. He looks at him, then you. I think it's the Phasmid. Yes, the arrest and the appearance of the Phasmid, the combined stress, he looks at you. You think it's something more than that, don't you? There's much more. Remember what it said, what it spoke. Before, when I evaluated his state, he seemed strangely animated. He nods. He's energetic and articulate, after all these years alone. With little hygiene or medication, I would expect worse. Perhaps this animation is induced by something in the Phasmid. He does not seem to be animated, now once it's left. He looks to the sea. Honestly, I'm ready to believe anything at this point. Maybe it is psychoactive. I mean, why not? It's 3 meters tall. He takes off his glasses and cleans them. When he puts them back on, he's still staring at the sea. He couldn't see it, Kim. It's just reeds for him. Could be part of the shock, but you're right. Something is off here. Mr. Dross, he touches the man's shoulder. No response. Maybe this is how the Phasmid has stayed hidden all these years. Then how did we see it? He thinks, oh, you mean... Whatever does this, does it over time. Teenagers, kids, drunks, sightings are brief, and hence not credible. But anyone who spends a long time with it, yeah, you forget it's there. Lieutenant inspects the man. Mr. Dross, have you ever seen a stick insect pretending to be reeds? The old man stutters. Doctors will have to look at this. I hope your station has better medicinal personnel than 57. It's a little advanced for a nurse. Could be there's something hormonal in his relationship to the Phasmid. I mean, hormonal? Seemed a little off for a man his age, Randy. The scope, knowing of her bruises, his disposition towards Miss Aranya. I see what you mean. Talk to the Phasmid and said it's destroying him. You should be more careful, Detective. Are you sure it wasn't having an effect on you? Maybe. Anyway, it's only trying to remain unseen. The degradation is the side effect. A valid hunch. Long-term exposure to something like that could be neurodegenerative. Also, please be careful when approaching unknown species in the future, Detective. He's been here for a long time. Who knows how much of it is in its company. It did seem distressed when it finally came to arresting him, like he didn't want to leave this place. And the insect, maybe, looks at his notebook. I have absolutely forgotten to take notes. I hope I remember all this. He shakes his head in disbelief. It'll be one hell of a report. Thank God we have the photo. No one would believe you without it. Hang tight. We should think about getting back to the mainland to get help. We'll be safe here, if we don't take too long. Oh, there's stuff. Thoughts. Air smells sweet and scary somehow. Oh. Fair weather helmet and a rifle scope. Brother, you managed to collect all the armor pieces. Too bad it's a little bit late for that big showdown. Don't think this helmet would have helped me anyway. It would have looked very impressive. Still, you found it all. Now your mortal coil is completely protected. Few cops are this futuristic. At least now I'm truly invincible. We also have Clausia's passport. This passport, issued by a sovereign people of Varanya, is issued to a black-haired woman named Katarzine Elysium. Clausia's hidden documents. The lieutenant looks at your hands. From the empty buoy. Look at the photo. It's Clausia, with short black hair and glasses. Looks boyish, younger somehow. What's this doing in the Phasmid's nest? Maybe our man Dros took it from Clausia, or whatever her name was. Hiding place, or... Perhaps for some blackmailing plan. Perhaps. It still doesn't explain how it got into the nest. I think the Phasmid took it. Like a magpie. Looks around. What a coincidence. But also have collected other objects, which would be highly unusual. I can see how the helmet would wash up on the island, and the scope. Maybe Mr. Dros lost it. But to seek out this would be very unusual behavior for an anthropod. It says Katarzine Elysium. Opens his notes. She said it would be for Anouk Meher Smith. Katarzine Elysium was supposed to be her real name. Where is Clausia? Where Clausia comes from? Remember, goddammit. Katarzine Elysium was supposed to be her real name. She lied to us. Yes, somehow she managed to lie to us one more time. In a way, she's still lying to us now. The lieutenant smiles. What's her real name, then? I don't know. But it's not Katarzine Elysium, or Clausia, or Anouk Meher Schmidt. We didn't even scratch the surface with her, Detective. He looks east. Perhaps it's better that we didn't arrest her. Who knows what hell she'd be raising in my district now. Put the sandwich away. This sandwich will be my eternal companion. Okay, I think we're done. Let's get out of here. Honestly, this ending sequence took a lot longer than I was kind of expecting it would. But I'm not disappointed. Also, I'm so glad the Phasmid showed up. It's actually kind of interesting that that factored into the case in such a manner. I think I stand by my statement of kind of wishing that this was even more supernatural of a game. Because I appreciate how... I appreciate how realistic everything has been. But, like... there's enough sci-fi here to make me want more. And that bugs me a bit. Anyway, now all we have is one last loose end. Me. Us. Harry. Return to the mainland. We're done here. he says, adjusting his glasses as he looks over the water. The skiff rocks gently under your weight as you get in. The ride back is uneventful and quiet. But for the sound of conversation in the water, there's something inland waiting for you. 2 men and a woman standing on the concrete square of a nameless village, looking at a small yellow boat as it draws closer. The sea is calm. You reach the jetty and climb out of the skiff. Let's see, I got my green shoes on. Let's take these off. I don't think that's the shirt I started with. Maybe it is. That's the shirt I started with. Alright, we can lose these. Maybe not. Yeah. We also have the helmet. We probably shouldn't do that. Let's go out in style.
Look what the tide brought in.
The man without sunglasses, suddenly, his expression changes as he tilts his head.
Harry, you're bleeding all over the place. You're half dead.
Whatever this is, it's completely unimportant compared to what you've just seen. This is the man with sunglasses from the Whirling in Rags, but where are his sunglasses? No one else seems bothered by the bleeding.
Bothered by it? Harry, you look like you need a fucking organ transplant. Fuck it. Let's not get into that.
Who are you people?
Hello, I'm Trent Heidelstein. I believe we've met on several occasions.
I'm your goddamn partner, Jean-Vic Mar, and this is your special task force, or what's left of it. Special Consultant Trent Heidelstein, Patrol Officer Judith Minot.
Hi.
We have come to scrape what's left of you off the pavement.
Lieutenant Kinki Soragi, Precinct 57. We've just come from the island where our investigation led us.
The scene is making even him feel as though he has to justify your
We might
actions.
need your help with something later.
He adds, suddenly regaining his confidence. As if he recalled that he is, in fact, a decorated police lieutenant, and not a naughty boy.
This is clearly a departmental matter, so I'm going to leave you to discuss it among yourselves.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
It's good to meet you, Lieutenant Kitsuragi.
She says warmly, flashing Kim the tiniest of smiles. Letting the lieutenant know he shouldn't feel embarrassed about the shitstorm that's about to befall you. What's this about?
Harry, we want to help you. Trent, I believe this is where you come in?
I don't quite know what I'm doing here. I was asked to participate as an expert. I think I need to manage your expectations a little. I'm at best an enthusiast in cognitive science. My background is in something else entirely. I engage in neurology on a merely theoretical level. In fact, I should probably get going.
No, Trent, it's too late. You're part of this shit now. What have you got to say for yourself, shit kid?
What does he have to say for himself? He left you to catch the bullets. Shit kid. Interesting moniker. So, Trent Heidelstein turns out to be Special Consultant Trent Heidelstein. Yes, I'm Trent Heidelstein. I never said I wasn't Trent Heidelstein. What was up with the kid then? Mikhail? Mikhail's my son. Oh, alright, sorry. No problem. So what are you special consulting here? What indeed? He looks at the dilapidated shacks than you. I was asked to share my take on some more obscure theories developed in Königstein in the 30s, like partial psychometric amnesia, group personality theory. He's here to see if you're insane. He's smart. Let's move on. That's a shit kid. You, shit kid, that's you. Despite all that you've done, the desert of the Phasmid the case. Despite all that I've done? No, because of all that you've done. How did you know I was here? Cafeteria manager effed over, told us where you went. Damn you, cafeteria manager, you've betrayed me for the last time. Speaking of which, the giant aerograffito in front of the building. Red government marked fuel. Did you do that? Nope. It was this one junior delinquent. I don't know. He squints at you suspiciously. It had shit kid written all over it. You're not the man with the sunglasses at all. You're not even blonde. Guilty as charged. He exchanges a look with the special consultant. But you lost your mind. And your memory. I want to see if it was true. And it was. Good work, Harry. You're insane now. There's one less person for me and everyone else to rely on. He was too sarcastic for you to even realize who he was. Okay, I had that coming. Had what coming? Not recognizing people you work with every day, he squints. Brain damage? Where have you been all this time? There's a mercenary tribunal. God damn it, Harry shifts his weight, crossing his arms, and looks at you in the eye. You told us to F off. Said you were cramping your style. You're Detective God. F everything. All will burn. Detect or die. Wait, so you let me face a squad of trained killers alone just to teach me a lesson? Wasn't like that. F you, Harry. We didn't know there was going to be a tribunal, did we? I said all those things? Not like that anymore. Yes, you're sorry. You're the sorriest cop who ever lived. Nothing has changed, Harry. I've heard this repentance shit a million times over. Mentioned a task force. Yeah, Major Crimes Unit, under Lieutenant Dubois and Vicmar. Ringing any bells? Yeah, totally, I get it. Major crime units. Refresh my memory again, who else is in this? Refresh your memory, it's goddamn Major Crimes Unit, and there's you, me, Jude Trot, Effin Heidelstamm, and Guillermo Bevy. He stares at you. I'm technically just a civilian advisor. F you, you're part of this shit show. Who's Guillermo Bevy? Oh, that's interesting story, actually. He's not smiling. Guillermo Bevy is a police reporter who joined our team because he was really good. Then he left because he lost faith in your ability to lead the unit. Other people have left too. Good, smart people. People we won't get back. Only me and this really patient patrol officer are still here. And Trent, because I'm forcing him to stay. This is Guillermo Bevy. Blonde and partial sunglasses. Like you were... See? There. He wags his finger at you. He's getting it. I was impersonating him. Look at me. I'm G. Bevy. It was going to be funny. But then you really did have brain damage, so not so much anymore. I sincerely thought it was going to be amusing for both of you. Okay, so what does the unit do? Dude, it's a major crimes unit. We clear the desk of cases so Precinct 41 doesn't look like the worst station in town. We're shit tier now, Harry, because of you. They're your posse, or remains of it. Hand-picked, hand-lost. 41st isn't. He trails off, not wishing to finish the sentence. None of this is ringing any bells. The bells aren't ringing because you have brain damage, Trent. He turns to the blonde. This is where you come in. How bad is it? Well, he doesn't have visible tremors. He's talking without slurring. He can drive a boat. He's standing, reasoning. All good signs, but complete retrograde amnesia. Episodic and semantic. Meaning, you forgot both who you are and the definitions of money, isola, pale, and so on. As displayed with the station call, our interactions with him, and I don't want to be a snitch, makes air quotes, but also mine with him before, when Harry did not seem to know who I was. It's all very interesting. Interesting? Yes, interesting. I have my theories, but I'd like to hear Harry's thoughts first. Harry, what do you think happened to you neurologically, psychologically, and why not socioeconomically? Something so sad happened to me that I couldn't be me anymore. It was a defense mechanism. Psychotraumatic amnesia, Trant. He turns to the special consultant. I can go for that. Shit kid's a broken man. Always has been. Who isn't? I know I am. But you know what? He turns back to you. I kept my shit together. Also, I know a person can't wipe their own mind, however traumatic it gets. That doesn't happen. You're lying, or insane, or both. But Detective Vicmar, she interjects, he has blanked out before. I have? Yes, a couple of times. After some more serious benders, she pauses, remembering. One was after the two drunks case. The other when we looked into that mural. So you don't remember not remembering. Beautiful. The two cases in your ledger, the unsolvable case and the New World mural, those were recent. Those cases were hard on you. Interesting. So at first he dipped his toes into it, prepared. That's where he would have got the idea. Yes, practice. And then used alcohol to get there, so to speak. What do you mean? Well, here's my theory. What if this is an absolutely normal reaction to the world we're living in? What if this is not a significant anomaly at all? Something to be explained, approached as a defect. Look at the sensory input here. He gestures to the scenery. Look at the runes, the neon, listen to the radio, the multitudes. The people live here for 40 years as a police... The people live here for 40 years as a police detective. He's like a magnetic reader on the world tape. To borrow a known metaphor, Harry's been pushed flat against it. Total input. Hardwired to the free market. He nods confidently. He just needed it for it to end. Okay, Trent, thank you. It's absolutely meaningless. I'm glad we brought you. Will he or will he not be able to work the major crimes unit? Is he a cretin now? I want to know that. He is not a cretin, and he is able to do work. If not for in his previous leadership role, then as a line detective. Line detective is good for now. For now? He looks at you, then Trent. I misphrased my question. It should have been, is he able to put clothes on, use the potty, or do we need to get him in a disability pension? What? Now nothing. Now we're just going to stand here. Really? No, now we discuss that. He points to the water. What the F did you do to our motor carriage? Why is it there, Harry? I drove it into the ocean when I was drunk. So refreshing. He just admits it. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for destroying 45,000 real of police property that's coming out of everyone's payslip. It doesn't matter, he exhales to calm your breathing. Your badge, Harry. Show me your badge. Got it right here. In a rush to demonstrate your badge, your eager fingers can't sustain the grip on the smooth plastic, and the badge slips out of your hands. You're proficient in catching small objects. I got a skill point. Not today, badge. Did I get the badge? You got it all right. You're showing it to him, victorious. They're seeing the badge. Behold my badge. The man is unimpressed by the piece of plastic in your hand. And your gun, he asks, as if having your badge and gun are natural states, but not achievements. What's with all these material objects? My gun is right here. Oof. He has it, and he didn't drop it. He wipes his brow in mock relief. You're drunk like a bum, Harry. Put that thing away before you kill someone. I'm not drunk. I haven't started drinking again. So you forgot to drink. I don't buy it. Why do you smell like a corpse, then? He's wounded. He looks at you. It's been a long week, and he's handled an actual corpse. Yeah, it's been a bit of a week. I'm sorry I smell bad. A bit of a week, he squints. You're drunk, and you let a suspect escape, a certain Clausia, because you were too drunk to assess her flight risk. We've read the reports, Harry. Lieutenant Kitsuragi's, we know. Some of these are ridiculous. I like number 6. That doesn't matter. None of it does. We're looking for the oxygen holocaust times a quadrillion. We've come to know the final fate of men in the universe. No, Clausia? She's some kind of spy from the Occident, specially trained. Oh, well, if she was specially trained, he rubs his face in frustration. I'm not going to get into the other suspect who also escaped. Yeah, Ruby something? Or the fact that you very likely sold your gun for booze. That's peanuts. That's nothing. That's a humorous anecdote. Compared to the 6 people who were gunned down. The streets are literally red with blood, Harry. It was an effing mass murder. He did everything he could, the lieutenant interrupts him. We did everything we could. The company hired unvetted mercenaries. Lieutenant Dubois got between them and the locals. Here comes the cavalry. He did so at considerable risk to his person. Remember, he was shot. We stopped an execution, not a negotiation. The loss of life was minimal compared to what it could have been. I'm just sorry. Stop being sorry for 5 minutes, he says in a lowered tone. Thank you for the input, Lieutenant Kitsuragi. I didn't mean to suggest that you didn't handle the situation. He thinks of apologizing, but decides against it. He brushes a stray strand of hair out of his eye and coughs. You spent a week with him on this case. What's your take? On the case? On Lieutenant Euphrater Dubois. Well, he pulls up his collar. The drinking, the gun losing, also losing the badge. That's all true. Although, he has not been drinking on the job this week. See? 1 week. Then there's the self-flagellation issue. He likes to apologize profusely, make it sound like he's guilty of at least first-degree murder. It's not a good communication strategy for an officer. It's just strange, especially in light of his political views. Detective Dubois, as you may know, is a true blue moralist, a man of the center, not prone to political outbursts, which is commendable, but also at odds with his behavior. And then there's the motor carriage in the sea, something I was not present for, he breathes in sharply. But despite all this, he is a great detective, one of the best I've ever seen, in fact. He can talk human beings into telling them everything, and he doesn't stop. In the time I've spent with him, he's not once stopped pursuing leads, however far-fetched and tangential. He is tireless, madly driven, and he solved it, near perfectly. In 1 week, we have a confession, a murder weapon, and the perpetrator. Locked on the island right now, awaiting transportation. He apprehended a revolutionary brigade who stayed hidden for 50 years, ever since the revolution, who's probably committed other murders over the years. Oh, and he also discovered a new species. A new species? A colossal stick insect on the island, camouflaged as reeds. It unfolded from the reeds. I think we may be dealing with the Ensledian Phasmid. Takes the photo of the Phasmid and shows it to the officers in the yard. The wind blows, flapping the glossy rectangle in his hand. You hear gasps beneath the howling of the wind. As you can see, it's about 3 meters tall. In fact, we think it may be the largest land invertebrate ever discovered. Say nothing. Effing hell is that? The man cranes his neck, still looking at the photo. Is this somehow connected to the case? Detective? Yeah. I believe the pheromone it emits may be responsible for the killer's mental degradation. The old man was not aware of the Phasmid's existence. Exhibiting a strange, atypical dementia, he fell into a stupor after its appearance. He became near catatonic. So it is connected. I must say this, he points to the photo, is absolutely extraordinary. I don't even have words for it. Yes, it really does make it hard to fire the drunk. His tired eyes follow the photo as the lieutenant puts it away. This is a very, very sad man who's just seen something that made him forget his sadness. Now you may make your case. Now is the time, now or never. Also, the Phasmid was female. The reeds are its nest. Female? What makes you think so? You had to see it. It had the subdued colors of a female, and the nesting behavior too, I think. Incredible! Were there eggs in the nest? Not as far as I could see. There are other things there, though. He turns to you. It's interesting time. Forget about the rest. It had gathered items in its nest, a helmet, a scope, and a passport. Actually, you know, this would indicate it was a male. This is far from anything in my field, but I think such nests are called boyers. They're for attracting mates. I still think it's female. Of course, as I said, I'm only guessing. I didn't see it. He pauses, turning something over in his head. Must be robust. If it can move a whole helmet with its limbs, I think it reproduces via parthenogenesis. Isn't cloning itself? What makes you think so? Observation. Well, then it wouldn't matter if it was male or female. The boyer would be just a rudimentary behavior from before the parthogenic mutation. That makes sense, yes. Very interesting. He looks around, quickly asserting the coast. Such organisms are extremely vulnerable to disease. A single strain of bacteria could wipe out the whole species. Probably looking at conservation efforts here. In his mind, he's already planning a nature reserve, and He knows a good guy for that. It had mandibles that looked like hair. It was completely white on the inside. Yes, but also reed-colored, beige and brown, a little green on the outside. After unfolding from a single stalk, it retained parts that looked like reed tufts on its limbs. Incredible, he repeats, turning to Vikmar. The PR value of this is exceptional. Cop discovers new species. Maybe even discovers the insulating Phasmid. No, that's too much. It really would help with the problems we've been having. Absolutely, this is great. This does not save vigilante murderers to me at all. This says science, news, human interest, he smiles. You know, it's a really good thing you have that photo. Without it, he shakes his head. Will your head or no? The killer, Lilianovich Dros, has a strong motive for him. Lilianovich? Special consultant raises an eyebrow. A revolutionary matronym. Okay. The custom started with Grad, where they have patronyms. Krasovich, Larzovich, etc. The revolutionaries saw this as a chauvinist atavism, so they used matronyms derived from the mother's name instead. The man's mother was Lillian. He's Lillian's son, Lilianovich. The custom was overturned after the revolution failed, but not before it made it a revishal. So it is what a soldier of the ICM would be called. Thank you, Trent. Thank you for that piece of cultural history, or theory. Turns to you. So you said you had motive. Of course, excuse me, I just thought it was noteworthy. He wasn't quite sure about the straggler before he heard this detail. Must have convinced him. He killed the mercenary in an act of jealousy. Jealousy? I thought this Lilianovich was an old man, to have been hiding for 50 years. 70-something? A strange psychosexual fixation, aggravated possibly by proximity to the Phasmid and its chemicals. He himself gave a political reason, said he had killed an enemy combatant. Also, we have ballistics from the gun, matching the bullet found from the dead mercenary's head, and 2 officers at the scene that Mr. Drost confessed to. It's a clean win. Oh, it's way more than that. Way, way more than that. I'm still not completely satisfied with it. It could be a little neater. Get over yourself. You're not a perfectionist. You're a cop and you did a good job. With a lot of help from Lieutenant Kitsuragi. He buttons his jacket. And none of this can hide the smell of booze on the wind. God damn it. Doesn't it ever leave? It is there. Like in your bones or something. It will pass in time. Previous head of the Debitors Union was assassinated by our killer. Lieutenant lowers his voice just a little. This is a conversation for when we are no longer out in the open in Martinez, where Everett and Edgar Clare have ears everywhere. And eyes too. Your return from the island must not have gone unnoticed. Understood, of course. But a case against Everett would be big. The consultant, too, has lowered his voice. I'd prefer not to partake in anything union-related for political neutrality. This has to be good stuff for him to backpedal out of the first mention. There's also a dead man on the boardwalk, a missing person I found. Yes, he has fallen through the gap in the boardwalk, drunk. How'd you know I found him? The body was transported to Precinct 41, our morgue. I had Tilbrook and Mullins take care of the funeral arrangements and family stuff. You're not the only cop in the world, Harry. This all comes back to us. Still, she says quietly, good work with the missing person detective. It's still a point for you, no denying it. Confiscated drugs from Kuno's dad. Who's Kuno? You don't want to know. You're right, Lieutenant. I don't. He turns to you. You snorted the drugs. I know you did. It's all right. I mean, at this point, anything is but the drunk. But I still have the drugs in my inventory. I also looked into the mystery of the doomed commercial area. I don't know what the doomed commercial area is. Rue de St. Ghislaine 10, a commercial building where all businesses go bankrupt. I looked into it. Why? That's not what you were supposed to do here. There was a possible witness in there. I was close to the crime scene. He was just chasing a lead and ended up advising a local shopkeeper. It was okay. Of course. She turns to Vikmar. Call it community outreach, right? Dodge the bullet there. For a moment it seemed like you were just wasting time. Also started a nightclub in the church. What was that? He cups his ear. The wind blows. It sounded like you set up a nightclub in the church. Yeah, I did some kids at Solid. Turned their lives around. 4 kids were living in a tent on the ice. They're going to drown when it melted. It was not optimal, but the building was abandoned, so we put them there. It's okay. So, what do you say? Want to take this hot shit back? Point to yourself. I don't want to, but you discovered a new species and solved the murder. He shrugs. So, I have to? Jude? Quick nod. Anything that ends the trial is okay with me. You haven't been drinking, she thinks, so maybe this time. Agreed. The public relations potential of this is too valuable to let go. Task complete, the return. Okay, he sighs. We have vehicles in the square, and the perpetrator needs to be taken into custody. Let's go. A few questions before we go about who I am. Man looks westward impatiently, jingling his car keys in his pocket. Who am I? Who are you? You're a gym teacher, Harry. What? Well, obviously you're not a gym teacher anymore, but before you're a cop, you're a gym teacher in Quran. She looks around. It's getting really cold outside. Should we maybe? That explains a lot. Harry, it explains everything. The running around, the jumping, the bicep girth, your incredible facial hair, the collection of fallen sportswear I've amassed, your moves on the church floor, which honestly were just jump aerobics, your use of the word graffito. Also, this guy. Just everything about this guy. God, even the javelin throwing freak here. Oh god, Contact Mike. Of course Contact Mike. He's been on about Mike again. The detective shakes his head. I hate that guy. Contact Mike is a reprise of the most inspiring basic sporting principle of open competition, a 5,000 to 1 rank outsider. Oh, you don't say. He arches an eyebrow. Does he also vault an impassable gulf of finance and privilege? It is getting cold out. She's looking around the dilapidated fishing village. Okay. When was this? When was I a gym teacher? Your 20s or late 20s. You really let yourself go since then. He looks you over. You said in Quran I was a gym teacher there? Yes, you taught gym in Quran. I believe that's the term. Taught gym at a high school. You're a high school gym teacher. The smell of sweat and glue. The worn floorboards. Quran is just east of Jamrock. It was a short walk every morning to the baseball field or the sports building. High school, Harry. Your whole goings-on with Kuno, Andre, Estelle, the whole thing on the ice. That's why you're so juvie. His smirk suggests barely contained laughter. Why'd I join the RCM then? The regular, you found some chick. Inspired you to fight the big fight. Be more than you are. All that. You, every morning, walking from Voyager Road to reach the gym. She, leaving the academy with her spring coat on. The air filled with the smell of hope and raspberries and incredible smoke and raspberries and incredible hope. An ocean full of hope. Oh, okay. Why am I like this? It's not a mystery. Some chick effed you over. Also, you're drunk. Was her name Dora? Yeah, Dora Ingerland, I think. Not Dora Dubois? So we weren't even married. No one's married anymore. This is Revachol. When was this? God, I don't know. 6 years ago? She was way before my time. 6 years ago and you haven't gotten over it. What the hell is wrong with you? 6 years? Yeah, I was at 7. You're not doing too good there. It's an old man thing. 2 old years equals 1 normal year. That and Dora Ingerland really tore you a new one. A big one. Who was she? Incredibly bangable. Figures. Extremely effable, Harry. Gorgeous. A gorgeous bourgeois woman. Wayfish. Like a Welkin, basically. Snow Welkin. Blonde Welkin. Heartbreak Welkin. I've only seen a picture, but it's obvious you formed a real spiritual connection with how pretty she was. One you never recuperated from. Look, she turns to face the seat. Sun's about to go down. It's time to go home. I think I went to go eat lunch, and I think time passed while that was happening. Oh well. I think she taught in the Academy de Arts, east of the river. Way east. Hard to say which came first, the middle-class chick or the drink. Egg and the chicken kind of thing. My point is, you need to see a psychiatrist about this shit. Not a psychologist. Several degrees harder. Something harder than a psychiatrist, he pauses to think. A forensic psychiatrist. Go talk to that. In other words, he's heard enough about this. Am I a dirty cop working for La Puta Madre? No. No, because the suspects seem to think you're too unstable to work for a mob boss. You're suicidal, Harry. No mob boss would take you. I assure you, I wouldn't consult for a corrupt unit. You would immediately backpedal out of it. I told you it's not that bad. Precinct 41, what kind of station is it? Us? We're the bloody murder station. Haven't you heard? We're the bad guys. No one likes us. It's not true. Jamrock is too big for one precinct. You're just understaffed, and everyone Everyone respects the 41st. You have Captain Price. Thank you, Lieutenant. You're just being kind. It is an understaffed station, and the district is too big. Which is why we need to... He tilts his head northward. Get back to it. We left Torsen and McLean to run Sea Wing, and that's not good. Torsen and McLean? Mac, the Torso Torsen, and Chester McLean. She arches an eyebrow. They're not fit to run a wing, believe me. Things are shaky as it is. They are damn iconic, though. Torsen and McLean. An iconic duo, I take it? Yeah, not like us. Two clinically depressed old men. Where's the contrast here? We're garbage. And Sea Wing is... God, he sighs. There are 4 wings, Harry. A, B, C, and D. We're in C. It's made of losers and clock pushers. You and I reconceptualized it as a task force. It was a mistake. There's also a lot of outside help involved. Not only me, he smiles. Other losers, too. And Price is... Ptolemy Price? He's the son of the old Price, one of the founders of the RCM. One of the most highly regarded men in this force. You're lucky. Somewhere under the curved roof of a former silk factory, shaped like a ladybird with 2 chimneys, Police Captain Ptolemy Price sits behind a heavy wooden desk. Resident medic Nick Gottlieb pours him a coffee. It's silent in the captain's office. They speak of change, the city, the tension on the streets. They speak of the events of April and the blood on the streets in May. Did we recently shoot up a church by any chance? So he remembers that. Yes. There may have been a raid on some churches. It wasn't good press. Shooting up churches never is. I was out of town, to be clear. What happened? Why did we need to go there? Our enemies were hiding in a church. To the best of our information, that's it. I'm not talking about this anymore. Your security clearance is shit tier right now. You have to wait for it to go up. He means it. The RCM and the enemies will not be discussed on this coast. Your clearance will not go up while you're within earshot of the Union headquarters. Okay, so we're in the Bloody Murder Station. Okay, it's not the Bloody Murder Station. It's an old converted silk mill with green desk lamps and coffee and a coffee corner. A lot of good people work there, hard, every day. Jamrock's the largest ghetto in Revachol. Valberg, technically, but it's divided into 11 districts. Jamrock only has us. The press will blow over, he says in a reassuring tone. Jamrock is lucky to have you. It's often considered to be the greatest of the districts. You're lucky to have it. Thank you again, Lieutenant. Oh, the Phasmid. I need to tell Lena about this ASAP. Who's Lena? She lives in 1113 Tabernacle Road in Jamrock, remember? A cryptozoologist. She lives in Jamrock on Tabernacle Road. She told me about the Phasmid. Tabernacle? It's on the way over, near where you live, on Perdition. She looks in, at Vicmar. Fine, if we're gonna drop you off anyway. She and her husband were conducting the search for the Phasmid. It's their discovery, in part. I should know as soon as possible. It would do you good to deliver some positive news for a change. Lieutenant Kitsuragi, what will you do now? Well, first I'll go back to my station. Write the most detailed report as anyone has ever seen. I'll have to be good to cover all this. And then I'll have a serious talk with my captain. About what? He pulls up his collar and looks around. The cold spring light reflected in the lenses of his glasses. Detective, we just stopped a small-scale war. Something is happening to Revachol. I don't know what yet, but it's going to be a hard spring for the RCM. We need to get ready. Infiltrate, investigate. Distant traffic. A scrap of newspaper drifts by, carried by the wind. It says, tensions rise in Terminal YC in light of the Debrador's strike in Terminal B. Among the representatives of heavy industry in Coal City, you read. Want to do that at Station 41? Talk to Captain Price. I'd rather not ruffle the feathers of 2 captains with my doom-mongering. No, I mean investigate. Come work for Precinct 41. Work with Price? A crooked smile quivers on his lips. I'm flattered, but I don't know if I would fit in. I'm crazy enough. Can't take the stress. He doesn't know how to finish the sentence. This truly came as a surprise to him. Not a bad one, but he's at a loss. Flattered? You're Lieutenant Kitsuragi. We would be flattered if you even considered. The man turns very serious all of a sudden. Have to tie things up in GRIH first, but I mean, whatever's coming, Jamrock will be more central to it than the harbor. And we also have a huge caseload, Lieutenant, she says with a smile. Piles that we need to get back to. Mountains, even. I do like the sound of that. He returns her smile. So, Precinct 57 finest. Cool. Alright, I'm ready. End. Good. She looks at you, then Vicmar. F it, let's go. The man points down the street. Trent brought his motor carriage. It's a 20-minute drive to Jamrock. The great district hums in the slowly falling snow. A chessboard of wooden houses, 80,000 living souls, and chimney stacks. Fire traps as far as the eye can see. From Main Street to Precinct 41, to Boogie Street, forking into the white horizon. You close your eyes and hear the dogs bark. A lone woman sits by a factory window, dreaming of meteorite strikes. On Rue de Saint Jeremy, a square bullet slides into a square-shaped chamber. In Old South, a man without eyelids smiles. Spring has come. It's time. Thorson? Yes. McLean? Yes. Hiddleston? No. Vicmar? Yes. Dubois? Of course. Really? Nick Gottlieb looks up from the list. I hear he's unstable. You say that like it's a bad thing. Captain told me Price gestures with his ballpoint pen. It's dim in the office, and the curtains are drawn. There's our man. He'll pull through. When he does, he'll side with the RCM. Understood. Gottlieb returns to the list. Mignot? Of course. Wonderful. The woman looks north. Then can we please go back to Jamrock now? Well, this was an incredible game. It's kind of loud, but that's okay. I don't think I've ever played a game like this before. And I've played a lot of games. I mean, obviously, it's still a CRPG in all of its glory. This is really stupidly loud. Okay, there we go. But yeah, I've never played another game like this. And even, like, it almost transcends its genre, which is really interesting. And I don't think it could have been expressed as anything other than a CRPG. Maybe something kind of like Fallout, but even then, I think this small sense of scale would have been a problem. I don't know. There are flaws, there are things that could have been done better. It's a little bit unfortunate that the villain was barely foreshadowed beyond just being like, yeah, maybe there's a 28% chance that it came from elsewhere. And it's like, okay. I thought it was going to be in the church tower just because that seemed like such a good place to take a shot. But I guess not. And also the Phasmid connection was a little wonky, but it makes perfect sense, sort of, given what we know. But just in general, I had a good time. Oh, there's the voice actors. Mikey Goodman did all of the weird body things. The limbic system and whatnot. And Idiot Doom Spiral. I don't know. This was cool. And I like how they handled it. I hope they have a bigger budget for next time, because yeah, some of the voice acting was definitely a bit rough. Could use a couple of quality of life improvements, and I really do hope they don't copyright the soundtrack in the way that they did. Because there was only like 2 songs, but it was the songs that I go past every single time, which got a little annoying, but whatever. It is what it is, and we'll just hopefully wait for the next one. Because it does sound like they set it up for a sequel, and I just want to see more of this. I hope they do something that deals with the Pale, because I thought the Pale was just kind of a theoretical thing, not like a real-world obstacle that apparently is human-caused. Like, that's really cool. Whatever that is. Also, this music is actually, like, peaking my recording software. I have this game turned down, and it's fully in the reds. I've just turned off my audio at this point entirely. You guys won't have to deal with this, but oof, believe you me. But yeah, so what was I going to say? I mean, a lot of things, but also nothing. It was just good. And it was a new world. I think this is a complaint I run into with a lot of video games, is that very oftentimes when I'm playing a game, it's too familiar. I want to see some imagination, and it's just kind of like some different flavor on 1 or 2 different sci-fi, real world, or fantasy worlds. And so this was, I mean, honestly, kind of 70s and 80s, but an alternate world with a lot of sci-fi stuff, and just a lot of other interesting things. I don't know. I don't really know how to describe it, apart from just being like, yeah, this was just a complete and kind of perfect package. And I had a lot of fun. So thank you all so much for watching. Mankind, be vigilant. We loved you. That's bullshit. We still love you.